Right, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, and of course, that will depend on where you are watching us from. We are back right here again. Is Yoruba referendum, and we have Alagba Femi Odedeyi right on the program. Remember, what we're still dealing with is about federalism and how far that is the journey where we're coming from and where we are heading. If you've been joining our previous programs and sessions, we've taken it from the sort of government we've had before this time, even before the independence, and then after the independence and how we got to where we are today. There have been calls for true federalism. I mean, Alagba Femi Odedeye has analyzed it for us in the past. I think about two sessions back, how we ended up calling federalism true federalism, because we seem to be practicing or claim to be practicing federalism, which the values or the tenet of it does not comply with the federalism as we know. So today we'll continue on that journey, talking about federalism and the journey so far, both from the angle of view of Yoruba referendum and, of course, based also on Nigeria history. Alagba Femi Odedeyi, you are welcome on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Right. So we'll take it straight on from where we were before. And just to do a bit of recap, we've looked at the Egbe
Omodudua, yeah,
and Action Group, the relationship between when the Egbe Omodudua, which is more of a social cultural group, but then it was able to use the Action Group as a political vehicle.
Yes.
To push for its own values, or what we can call its agenda. And we did mention about Afenifere, how that word came through, and it was meant to be. Could you remind us the Afenifere, the English interpretation of it?
Well, it's freedom for all, life more abundant. That was the motto, the slogan of the Action Group: freedom for all, life more abundant. Afenifere. So it was Chief Akinloye, the late Chief Augustus Meredith Adisa Akinloye, who translated that phrase into Yoruba language. Because at that time he said, how will the Yoruba people understand freedom for all, life more abundant? Let's call it Afenifere. That's how Afenifere came into
Afenifere. So, and that Afenifere is actually the ideology of the Egbe Omodudua.
Of the Action Group. And Egbe Omodudua also.
Egbe Omodudua. Then, and we try to look also at what we have, let's say from 1999, especially looking at many socio-political or socio-cultural groups, both especially in Yoruba land, that were pushing for a new system of government that is beneficial, of course, to the Yoruba and then the larger Nigerian population. However, it seems that we've not been able to have this sort of synergy between Egbe Omodudua and Action Group. Were we able to achieve something like that between the AD, which was what we can consider, although the people that are there are not mainly Yorubas, but can we say during the time of especially the 1999, that the AD was in a similar position like AG?
Yes, AD was actually AD, it was a pan countrywide Nigerian party, just like the Action Group was.
Yeah.
The only problem with the AD was that they didn't actually understand. I'm sorry, all our elders, our babas, and all who were in the AD at that time, the relationship between Action Group and Egbeomo Oduduwa. So at the time of the AD, the tendency was to reduce the importance of Afenifere, whereas in the Action Group, the essence of Egbeomo Oduduwa was prevalent in the Action Group in all they were doing. And of course, that was why they concentrated on the West. When it came to the AD and Afenifere, then that was the cause of the problem. Because on one side, you had Afenifere saying Afenifere is AD, and therefore Afenifere must be able to influence what was going on in AD. On the other hand, you have some Afenifere also, who are also in AD, saying AD is not Afenifere, it's a political party, and therefore they cannot subject themselves to Afenifere dictates. And that is where the problem started from, because those who say, yes, AD was not Afenifere, we all know that. Now, but what was AD in the West, in Yoruba land, without Afenifere? So the Afenifere leaders insisted on AD being under their, control, as it were. The AD politicians refused. So none of them, neither Afenifere nor the AD politicians, even considered the interests of the West itself, Yoruba people. So by the time the elections came, because of, Afenifere could not have contested elections, although they could have attempted it, although that's a different story entirely. They could not contest the elections. It was only the AD that could contest elections, and AD won the elections. And because they won elections, they said, well, we have the mandate of Yoruba people to do whatever we want. And then AD went into a crisis that all the opposition parties are having now at that time. So you had two ADs, both led by Yoruba. Baba Adebayo led one faction. Baba Akinfenwa, I think that's the name, if I remember correctly, led another faction, both Yoruba. Then, of course, they had the Northerner as their chairman, as one Maman, Yusuf Maman, in one side, and another person. So, by the time they started fighting that AD battle, they lost the essence of what Afenifere was. And I would say that the Afenifere lost because they themselves did not recognize their centrality in Yoruba politics. I say that because, yes, everybody say Afenifere, we Afenifere. They are still fighting over it today. Who is Afenifere? Who is not Afenifere? But there is no political context to that conflict. So at that time, and some of us actually made the suggestion, look, you Afenifere people, stand for this election as Afenifere. You are not registered. We know you are not registered. You are not this, you are not that. But stand for it. Let people vote for you and let the government say they don't want them. If they had done that, they would have won. They would have won. And then the military government will say, well, you are not registered. So this and that and this, and then that's a different political ball game. So I would say Afenifere lost that advantage at that time because it was fighting a partisan battle as a non partisan organization.
Yeah.
So, so all these things played out, and that is why we now have what we have today. That Afenifere has become sort of relegated to the background, fighting who is the authentic, who is not the authentic, and stuff like that. And then they became such that now they have also become mired in the same partisan conflict, which is one Afenifere is supporting APC, the other is supporting Peter Obi. So, but among both of them, if you now say, okay, what do you have for Yoruba people as a Yoruba organization, just like at the time of the AD, they will rather say, don't worry, when President Tinubu gets second time, we will do this. The Peter Obi, if Tinubu can step down for Peter Obi, then then we will move forward. All kinds of crap like that. But the question is, okay, whether Tinubu or Peter Obi, what is your program? What is the direction you want us to go? And that was the same problem that led to the crisis where during the AD Afenifere. So Afenifere did not have his own program. Now, in the terms of Egbe Omo Oduduwa and Action Group, like we said, most of the Egbe Omo Oduduwa people who are in the Action Group. So they had no problem. And because of the regional system and all the rest of it, they had no problem emphasizing who they were at that time. And even some of the Egbe Omo Oduduwa people who refused to join the Action Group contested elections as Egbe Omo Oduduwa. Of course, they lost. But the difference is that if the AD, during the AD Afenifere time, there was no distinct, what I would call distinct Yoruba political program, unlike the time of the AG was Western region, essentially. We will do this, we will do that, we will do that, we will do that, we will do that. And they went ahead and did that. But in this case, in the AD period and now in the APC period, the socio-political or socio-cultural group, which we know as Afenifere, is now tailgating partisanship, which is not bad in itself, but you must have your own political program to negotiate with, or to at least engage the politicians with. So we have told them, look, because of everyone is talking about restructuring and federalism and stuff like that, this is the Yoruba referendum that can become your political platform. Take it, use it as your political platform, and then we use that to engage the partisan politicians. But we are still talking.
Thank you. Just to quickly make just a point on what you've said. So what you are suggesting is if they use the Yoruba referendum as their negotiating,
as their political program,
yes,
not just to negotiate, but to engage.
To engage. So that means they are dealing with as many parties as possible that comes into, either they come into Yoruba land to ask for the vote of the people, or even if they approach Afenifere itself as a Yoruba socio-political group to say that, okay, we want you to encourage your people to vote for us. Afenifere is supposed to have something that they can present, whether it's APC that comes to them, or it's Labour Party, or
anybody,
or Accord, or PDP. It will be, it is our program for our people, and this is we want you to support.
Yes.
Right. Now, I'm looking at I just want to make this comparison, whether this is what affected Afenifere AD partnership. During the Egbe Omo Oduduwa and Action Group, I think the core leadership of Egbom Odudua were involved in
the action group.
AG action group like Baba Awolowo and others and co. Those were the leaders of Egbom Odudua. So they were also fully involved in AG.
Yes.
Now, during the time of Afenifere and AD, did we have something like that where the leadership of AD, I mean, most of the leaders or the core leaders in AD were involved in the leadership of AD?
Yes, of course, they were. Uncle Bola Ige, he was their presidential candidate at that time, I think. No, Chief Alai was the presidential candidate. But both Chief Alai, Uncle Bola Ige, Baba Adebanjo, who else? All of them. Baba Adesanya was not in the political, that is partisan elect. He was the head of Afenifere. So all of them were leaders of AD, at least in the Yoruba land. Let's just, even if we limit it to that. But the problem, like I said earlier, was that that is the Afenifere people in AD, were fighting a partisan battle without their own partisan political platform. So you now have AD who say, we are a Nigerian party and blah, 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 blah. We must have a president, a chairman from the north, and this, all the regulations. So they flowed with the regulations. Now, you can do all that, but in your own area, in Yoruba land, instead of the battle was who is going to control what. So when AD politicians were saying, yes, like President Tinubu at that time, who was the governor of Lagos, yeah, we contested elections and we won, right? And then you Afenifere people, you didn't contest election. So you see what I'm saying? So that is where the what I would call the fault line emerged, because the partisans were saying that the contested elections are won. Therefore, they are not under the control of the group, the Afenifere. The Afenifere had no response because they did not contest any elections and they didn't win any elections. All the elections they contested for were under the AD. And when they go to primaries and stuff like that, they did all they needed to do and everybody lost and won and all the rest of it. So that was why we were saying, even at that time, let Afenifere contest elections as Afenifere. At that time, because of the experiences that we've had and the Nadeco and all that, when push will have come to shove at that point, if Afenifere tells Yoruba people not to vote for anybody, Yoruba people will follow them. They didn't take that advantage. And that was where I believe the whole thing got messed up, because Afenifere was unable to establish itself as the political party of Yoruba land. We are not, when we say as a political party, it doesn't mean you have to be registered, especially with the conditions that were available at that time. You don't have to be registered. Yes. So all you needed was a political, shall I call it, a political courage to challenge what is on ground and say, okay, so since you won't register us, you are not going to vote. And let whatever happens. So they didn't take it. So that is the problem with what I would call socio-political organizations. And if you go beyond Afenifere, you now go to OPC. When OPC started, and Yoruba this, Yoruba that, Yoruba self-determination, Ghanaian Adams, and all the rest of it, the same thing happened, because by the time the Nigerian state, that was Obasanjo's presidency, clamped down on them, they had no political program to resist. Self-determination is not just a slogan. you must have a political, because at that time, even the OPC were also split between politicians. Who is, governor supporting one faction and all the rest, and every governor will now want to claim authority over the organization. And most of these governors, they are beholden to their own political benefactors, even outside Yoruba land. So they will manipulate them. They did that. The same thing happened with the Yoruba nation. The Yoruba nation issue, when it started. The same thing, because it was the slogan, the Yoruba nation, that was driving them. It was not a political program that was driving them. Because when you say you want your nation, you want this, you want that, you must lay out a pathway that people will follow. So once you don't have that pathway, you are just relying on the slogan, the emotional slogan, they will follow it. And those who have a pathway, politicians have their pathway now. Just vote for me. When you vote for me, I will do this, I will do that. Then they will do it. That's their pathway. But you don't have an alternative except to say, hey, you want your nation, you want your nation. Hey, you go and have your nation now. So easy say. So if we now see, we can trace the whole thing, that the inability of the what we call social political groups to establish a political program of their own, to engage even their own politicians, because we don't expect INEC or INEC or whatever to register any such thing. They won't, so we won't even bother. But we create a political program that becomes the anchor for political activism and activities in Yoruba land. Like we used to say, this is with respect to Baba Akintoye, when they started their agitation at that time, and Akeredolu said, who told you, where did the Yoruba say we want to do this and that? They couldn't provide an answer. Yoruba nation couldn't provide an answer. Whereas the simple answer is, okay, we haven't decided, let us decide, which is what a referendum is all about. So they could have inserted the referendum and through federalism and restructuring into that political context. So when Akeredolu as governor said, where did the Yoruba decide? People, because he also made is it allegation or whatever at that time that people voted for them.
Yes.
That was what Akeredolu said. People voted for us. And so where did the Yoruba say they want to go? Then all you needed to do, okay, we haven't decided, so we want to decide. Let us vote on it. And then see whether Akeredolu will say, no, we can't vote because they have already voted for us, and stuff. So that is how political struggle emerges and are won or lost. And we have, like I've just said, we have experiences we can go into and then see how we can correct those missteps and move forward from there. And we keep saying, look, when we talk about restructuring and this and that, everybody will say when President Tinubu gets second term, or when the National Assembly does that, or but nobody is talking about holding our own local politicians who have the power and the responsibility to address what we are talking about. We are not even talking to them. So how can we talk to them when we don't have a program of our own to challenge them with? So that is the crucial issue in the whole matter.
Okay. Thank you, Alagba Femi Odedeyi. If we now look at it, we've seen where the issues are. And I mean, from 1999 to now is sort of a long journey.
A long journey, almost 30 years.
And where we are today, I think if we look through Yoruba land, I know there are many organizations, whether they are the determination activists or other social, cultural or socio-political. I think Afenifere still, the name still comes out, despite the challenges they have now. The name still comes out sort of when we're talking about socio-political or cultural groups in the Southwest. Is Afenifere's position redeemable?
Well, any situation is redeemable, but that depends on the members, on the kind of dominant theories and ideas within that organization. So, as it is, of course, I'm not a member of Afenifere, so I don't know their internal discussions and what they are saying, except what we say to each other publicly, which may not actually reflect what they discuss internally. Because yes, you call them to meetings, they will come to meetings, and then you will say, okay, let us take this step. Then they will disappear. So that means there is a difference between what they say at their meetings and what they actually see, what they say in their internal meetings and what they come out publicly to tell us when we meet with them. Because we have met with them, both sides, so not just one side. Hey, look, this is what is on ground. This is what we think we should do. Oh, yeah. We need this and that and that. Okay, let's take this step. Then nothing will happen. So it is redeemable. But the question is, who is going to be their redeemer?
All right.
And now, I don't think we will set ourselves up as their redeemer.
Definitely not.
So they have to find a way to find, if they apply to us to do that, if they ask us to come and help them, we will help them to redeem. But
the reason for that question is I believe that Afenifere still has a key or a critical role to play in Yoruba land or in the Southwest socio-political field, if we can put it that way. So if the comparison between what is happening now and obviously from 1999 to what happened during the Egbo Oduduwa and AG, the reason we are comparing is to see whether Afenifere will be able to see that, okay, this is where we missed a step and which has led to this long journey, whether they will be able to look back and then find a means of bringing things back to the way it should be.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes,
go ahead.
Because I believe that if they are able to come back to a position where they have like their own program or their program for the Southwest or the Yorubas, I mean, by extension, because I know that there's nothing that will be done by Yoruba for their own betterment that will not affect the other parts of Nigeria positively. So that's the way I'm looking at. If Afenifere able to compare or to look back at where things went wrong in 1999, probably they will be able to come round to that conclusion or decision where the factions are divided now because one has to support this and one has to support that. But if it's not based on a program that they all agree to, then it will be them engaging with all aspirants from any political group that approach them or which one they have to approach by themselves. So that's what brought that question, whether they can still redeem.
Yeah, well, if they embrace the Yoruba referendum, for example, within the context of the struggle for federalism in Nigeria, and they both embrace the Yoruba referendum, that alone is enough to set them on the path for redemption. Because at this point, the referendum is not a partisan issue.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it is what I would call a Yoruba national issue. So whether they support one side or the other becomes immaterial, because whichever side you support, you will now engage that side to embrace that position. So if Peter Obi comes to instead of saying Tinubu should step down for Peter Obi, you ask Peter Obi, do you endorse the Yoruba referendum, so that you can go back to your region to advocate for the same referendum, and let Peter Obi say, yeah, let me get to presidency first. Okay. The other side that is supporting President Tinubu, now they can now say, okay, the president, this is what we want. Openly, not secretly, openly, this is what we want. I mean, when we talk about Nigeria, talk about the North and this and that, if the Northerners can be open about their political direction, why are we shy from being open about our own? So that such that we will now surrender whatever it is we want to the political or electoral fortunes of someone else. So that is what I would call the quote unquote the beauty of the Yoruba referendum, that it serves as the redeemer. If they can openly embrace it and make it their political program, not only them, all of us, make it the political. So that engagement will create a political dynamics that will bring about their redemption. Because without it, when President Tinubu leaves office, second or fourth, another one will come and they will split again.
Yes,
so that is the essence of what we are saying, and that's why we are emphasizing it. Unfortunately, President Tinubu's friend, Chief Wole Olanipekun, was said virtually the same thing as we are saying. So, I mean, there's no reason for us to keep quiet about it. So, yeah.
Thank you very much, Alagba Femi Odediyi. Our time is fast spent, but I think what we've hit tonight, and I hope this will get to the leadership and the members of Afenifere, because we still believe that they have a critical role to play in not just politics as limited to Southwest, but also Nigeria-wide. And let's hope that things will take a good turn.
Yeah.
By the time we come next week, we'll actually be looking at the position of the Patriots, because we need to start making a sort of a comparison that if an organization can go straight and say, this is what we want, then the other should be able to do it as well.
Yes.
So thank you for those that are watching us and those that will still watch this program. Remember, we're meeting again next Sunday. And you can send your message to yorubaref@gmail.com.